And welcome to the Crawford Podcasting Network for another episode of All Rell Good with former Michigan standout jumping jack number 40 out of Riviera Beach, Florida, Richard Rellford. How you doing, Rich?
What's up, Tom? It's good to be back on the show, man. It's good to talk to you. How you been?
I've been terrific because I'm jacked about two teams. Obviously, Michigan football, but I was at the Big Ten Media Days. Let's see, about a week and a half ago, and I'm excited about this basketball team. But before we get into hoops of Juwan Howard and the Wolverines, two are actually from the taping of this podcast on the Crawford Podcasting Network with Richard Rellford 3 days away, Michigan State football. Richard Rellford is a former Michigan athlete, alumnus. He's all about Michigan football. His buddy Jim Harbaugh he went to school with. So I gotta ask you right off the bat.
hmm
You're coming up here as a basketball player, and let's see, that would be the fall of what 1982.
Two, yes.
Okay. So what did it take to get indoctrinated to the Michigan State rivalry as an out of state kid? And how did that evolve during the 4 years you were there with mixed results, pretty good results, a kind of a bad ending, if you will. But
hmm
your senior year, but you're a Big Ten
Right,
champ. But
right.
anyway, talk about what Michigan State meant to you initially, and then how that changed.
Well, I got to tell you, the first Michigan State football game I went to because it's before basketball season, and
Yeah.
they told me that we had to hate them. That's what they said. And you know what? That's exactly what happened because the Michigan State fans were so unruly. They were vocal. They were talking a lot of smack, and all of a sudden I said, "But we didn't say nothing."
Yeah. And what's the scoreboard? Because in 1982, Michigan won that game in
We
Ann
showed
Arbor.
that's exactly right. We won
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah.
And so, you know what? But I enjoy the rivalry because I think that's what makes college sports, our
Yeah.
rivalries. Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State. It's just a huge deal for me because I wear my pride on my sleeve when it comes to Michigan sports.
Yeah. I know you do.
And it's really great when you win games and you win championships because that's what all of Michigan does is win
Yeah.
championships.
Yeah. They
And
do a lot of
so
sports.
we have a lot to live up to.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. And obviously when you over time you found out that this is in-state rivalries can be personal a little bit more because you're dealing. I think the fans probably taught you, people like
Yes,
me,
yes.
uh, who sometimes feel like we it means more to us than the players. But it's not true. But I mean, you know what I mean because
I
we
know
live in
exactly
the
what you mean.
offices of the neighborhood and the bar and all that stuff
Right.
with your rival Spartan fans, and you guys are so focused on just doing the X's and O's, you probably don't even focus on it that much, especially as an out-of-state kid. But I'll
Right.
bet you by the time you went up to Jenison that last time in '86 when Skiles went off on you, you probably didn't like that school very much, did
I didn't like the school
you?
at all. I'm not gonna kid you. I didn't, Tom, I'm not gonna lie to you, Tom. I didn't like him after my freshman year. I hated him my sophomore year. So it was
Really?
yes,
All right.
because we had friends. So it's always a friendly rivalry because we had friends that played for Michigan State. Pat Ford came in the same time that I came
Oh,
in.
Patrick Ford. Yes, I
Right.
remember
And
him.
so me and Pat was pretty cool. But listen, man, we hated just the rivalry itself because we knew if we didn't win, it was gonna be a whole bunch of smack talking.
Yeah, no kid, because you got to deal with them, and basketball, I think is almost when you go like Jenison Fieldhouse, you were playing at Jenison Fieldhouse. I mean, they
Mhm.
make it really personal there, if you know what I
Yes,
mean. I mean,
yes.
they're
It's
on
close.
top of you.
Right, they're
They're
close.
on top of you. Yeah, they're close and they're obnoxious. Let's be real. Not a fun place. But I
No.
I remember your junior year, which was the 16-2 season for Michigan, and you blew them out in Ann Arbor, and you came up to Jenison, and you won that game. But it was a tough.
Listen,
Sam Vincent had a really good game, and Skiles, but you held on and won it. I thought that was a gutty win.
yes. And you know what? Me and Sam Vincent, we talk about that to this day.
Do you?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Sam,
love
my buddy,
Sam.
man. That's my yeah, man.
Yeah,
Sam,
from
we
my high
communicate.
school, man. He's from my
Yep.
high school. He's a Quaker.
We
I
communicate.
love.
That's another guy we can have on the show to promote his
Oh, we
program.
got to bring Sam on.
Yeah,
I
we'll
mean,
bring
that's a
Sam on.
no-brainer. We got a long list here, Rich.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna text Sam because I want Sam on because Sam, you listen. I've met a lot of guys in my lifetime, but when I tell you he's a genuinely good
Oh,
guy,
he is a great guy.
his son was playing for Dennis Hobson and get all his packages here at my house because he didn't
Really?
know. Yeah, yeah.
So
Sam,
you were like the de facto family member there.
I was right for his son because I told him somebody did that for me, and so my son and Sam's son hit it off right away. And so he would call me and say, "Mr. Rich, did I get a package?" I'd be like, "Yep, you got a package." So it was, it was pretty cool, man. I enjoyed it.
So I remember that you had a family that was like your de facto family
Yes,
in
in
Ann
Ann
Arbor.
Arbor,
Who was that?
the Highfields, Debbie Highfield.
Okay,
She was my Michigan mom,
Michigan mom.
she
Yeah,
was Jawan Howard's Michigan mom.
really. So you
Yeah,
had
that's
to.
my
So that means you guys are literally brothers then.
right. That's how we connected when he was in Miami because of that.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Wow,
Debbie gave me his cell phone number, and that's how I found it.
I didn't know that. Well,
Yeah, and
speaking of
so go ahead.
well, that I mean, speaking of Jawan, I mean, you love Jawan now, and you love the job he's doing. I mean, let's go talk about that Michigan basketball team of last year. Remember we saw you were up in the suite with us with my friend Kevin
Yes,
Byers, fraternity brother Kevin Byers' suite, and you stopped by and you and
yes.
CY Chris Young and we'd kind of when you would go to a game and we'd break it down and I mean we're a little nervous about that team down the stretch. Are they going to make the tournament? Well, we got to win this game, this game, this game. Well, they won. They blew out Michigan State, which was a key win. And
Yes.
then once they got in the tournament, the two games I attended down uh, in Indianapolis, where they beat Colorado State in the first
Yep.
round of the NCAA,
Yep.
impressive win, and an even more impressive win, beating the number two Tennessee Volunteers. And
Yes.
yeah, C.
Yes.
Webb was down there, Jalen, Ray Jackson, Mark Hughes.
Yes.
It was so much fun. A lot of camaraderie with the Michigan fans when you add that to it, a pretty
Mhm.
decent season. And yet, this season, Rich, of the 13 scholarship kids, 9 guys on this team have never played a minute for Michigan basketball.
Yes. We got a young
And yet,
team.
and yet they're preseason top 20 and a lot of or top 25. I mean,
Mhm.
is this the way it is going to be? You just start over every year with the transfer
Well,
portal and things like that?
you could because of the transfer portal, you can do that now. Now you can get season ready guys.
Yeah.
It's because usually when you have freshmen come in, it takes them a year or two to kind of get themselves together. Well, now you're recruiting guys that are coming in as sophomores and juniors, and they're seasoned and they're ready to
Yeah.
play. And so
Yeah.
I think the transfer portal has helped these kids, just like it helped coaches when they leave to go to another school with no problem.
Yeah. So Michigan has a blend of some easy games. They open up with Indiana, Purdue. I mean, but they got Kentucky in London. They eventually
Yes.
they play Virginia at 9:30 at night. Ugh.
Yeah.
In the Big Ten ACC Challenge, that's at Chrysler,
Hmm.
and then they got North Carolina down in Charlotte at a tournament. I mean, so I mean, North Carolina is preseason number one.
Yes.
So I think it's a decent schedule. But when you look at this team,
Hmm.
obviously, and you've been a big Hunter Dickinson fan from the start, now entering his third year. But is there a guy on this team out, maybe a Kobe Buffkin, maybe it's the new kid, Jalen Llewellyn, or T. Will, Terrence Williams? Or is there any kid on this team, maybe even Jace Howard, who is a co-captain? Is there one any kid you're looking at particular that could be a difference maker, could be the guy you're really gonna see if they take that game to the next level?
Jason's brother.
Jet Howard. I left him out.
I
Yeah,
didn't know.
no, I
I
know
knew
you
that.
did. You know
Jet.
what? Jet Howard is. Maybe I'm way off on this. Is he the next Glenn Rice?
Listen, I'm gonna be honest. I think he could do a couple more things better than Glenn
Really?
because Chase can handle the ball a lot better. Because Chase is like a big guard.
Or you mean Jet? Are you talking about Jet or are you talking about Jace?
No, Jet. I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Jet.
Jet. Yeah, who's a
Jet.
6'8", 215-pound guard, mind you. He's a
He's
guard
a
at 6
guard.
foot.
That's
From
exactly
Flint,
right.
he's from Miami, IMG, obviously where Juwan lived. IMG Academy. I mean, he looks smooth just walking in a room.
I
He's
saw him. My son put me on him a few years ago, and then I wasn't thinking that. My son said, "Dad, but he played AAU down there too." I was like, "Really?"
yeah,
And now I see this kid playing at IMG, Tom, And I'm saying, that's Juwan's son?
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
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 I said, so he said, so I said, Justin, you think we're gonna get them? We're gonna get him? He's like,
Yeah.
Dad, his dad's coach. We should
His
get him.
dad knows his mom really well.
Exactly.
She kind of hangs out with her every night. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's exactly right. It's really funny that way. But
Yeah.
listen, I think that we're gonna have a really good team. We got a bunch of young guys, and what's gonna help them is having tough teams like Kentucky and these guys in the beginning of Virginia, because you know and I know every night is a tough game in the Big Ten. There is you don't have no duck games. And to let you know how good it is, look at the draft last year. How many kids from the Big Ten went in the draft in the NBA?
And Michigan had representation too. You
Yes.
know, well, in Juwan's opening comments at Media Day, I guess he brought it up. I mean, what are the two things? Asked the question. What are the two things, or a couple things that need to be addressed? And it's being Captain Obvious. I think I might have even asked it. It's defense, perimeter shooting. Defense, perimeter shooting. Two things that drove us crazy last year. It's like, when's Duncan Robinson going to walk in the room? You know what I mean? I mean, it was bad. I mean, and then defense. Remember that Minnesota game?
Oh my!
Oh, that Big Ten opener. It's like we're looking at each other like, what the hell?
Right. I was like,
where's the stop and dribble dive penetration? Aren't you taught in, as a 9 or 10-year-old, you gotta stop the ball?
Yes,
Number one.
That's exactly right, Tom. You are. You taught that early.
Yeah, I couldn't believe and that was been addressed supposedly. We'll see. But I don't know how they even got to the NCAA tournament playing like that, the way they started the season.
The way we started, I had no idea. I was like totally surprised.
Yeah. And Beeline's teams were pretty good defensively.
Yes.
Oh, obviously. Yeah.
Coach B teams were great.
And I'm not being critical of Juwan, and it ended all that well to end well, and he won the Big Ten tournament or title the year before, and he got one shot away from the Final Four. He got the Elite Eight. I have nothing against Juwan Howard. I love him.
There you go.
Okay. He's our coach, and I think he's really invested emotion. Well, my God, he's got 2 kids on the team. I think he's locked in there for a while.
I think he's locked in. I don't think he's gonna be looking for the Laker job no time soon.
Yeah. I think those little rumors are gonna finally go away, at least for a few years. But
exactly.
Those are 2 elements. And another thing, Rich, we kind of dissected Kobe Buffkin on and off a lot last year.
Yes.
He's about 12 pounds thicker. And they had kind of a open practice for the students, a Michigan Madness thing, and he won the dunk competition. So the dude's got some hops to him.
Really?
Yeah. But what I liked about what Juwan said is he's one of these guys first to arrive at practice, last to leave, a grinder, weight room, shooting. What do you expect out of Kobe Buffkin?
I expect for him to be just as good, if not better, than he was last year. I was impressed with Buffkin.
Yeah,
and
I know.
I think with the experience, he's going to be that much better, because when you play in the Big Ten and you start seeing these teams that you see on a regular basis, your confidence level shoots up out of the window.
Oh yeah.
And I think him going in, he ain't fighting for no job. He's the starting point guard. I think his confidence is going to be amazing.
Well, actually, what I'm thinking there, he could be in a 2 or a 1-2 or even a 3. I was told, because they got the transfer Jalen Llewellyn.
Okay, yeah, I know Jalen, the shooter.
Yeah, he's a shooting point guard. You're right.
He's a shooter.
And then we have this little 5'11", 160-pound point guard out of St. Paul Catholic, Washington D.C. named Doug McDaniel. And he says he's 5. It says he's 5'11". He looks like he's 5'7". Okay, but I'm telling you what, man, the dude's got handles. I mean, we saw about an hour practice, and ball's like a yo-yo to this kid. And I talked to him, and he said he's not even worried. He doesn't even want to shoot. I mean, he's a distributor.
Really?
And they were talking about, Juwan was talking about those two on the floor at the same time, and maybe even bringing Kobe in at the 3. Kobe can play the 2. Kobe can play the 3.
He can play 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, he can play 1, 2, 3. And then the other guy I want to talk about, Terrence Williams.
Yes, I like Terrence.
Remember him in that? Remember that the tip in and the Tennessee game.
But Terrence says, we always talked about Terrence because he comes in, and when he was in, he just uplifted the team so much.
He did,
because He's gonna go to the offensive glass. He's gonna hit that 3-point shot.
Yeah.
He's gonna play hard. He's gonna make things happen, which I'm happy with Terrence.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up going to the glass because that's what he is almost like the template of what Juwan wants is guards crashing the boards.
Yes.
And if you go back, if you go look at, watch that game again, the Tennessee game, and I watched it a couple times after being there. It's fun to get the TV perspective, but it was down on our end,
Mhm.
right across from the Michigan bench when he came. It was a tip in that put Michigan ahead for good by one.
Yes.
Just a
Yes. I
couple minutes
remember.
ago. You remember that one?
Yep. I
He
remember.
he crashed the boards. He was almost he was beyond the top of the key,
If I
and
can
he
recall,
timed
he might
that.
have had
He flew in there,
three,
and
four
make that.
offensive rebounds that game.
He did, and
Yes, I
so
remember. Yeah.
and he cut his legs are he's 225 pounds. He
Okay.
looks like he's chiseled 240.
Good. Good.
And so that's another kid, Rich, that I think could really have an integral part.
Yes,
I'm
he
glad he
will.
came back, and he
Yes,
actually
me too.
battles Hunter Dickinson in practice. Sometimes plays the opposite five,
Okay.
in drills, skelly drills, and things like that nature. What do you think? Well, I'll ask you this because I know you're a big Hunter Dickinson fan, and you rarely say anything negative about it. But I mean, you open minded about it. But what would
Mhm.
you like to see more out of him this year that you did not see last?
More on the box stuff. You can
Okay.
shoot your three here and there, but see, Hunter, I think, is very effective on that box.
Yeah.
When he's on that box, then it's really, really hard to deal with him because he's so tall. He got long arms,
Yeah.
and he's a lefty. I told you this before. Lefties are the most difficult guys to
Really?
guard in basketball
Because it's
because you
different.
because it's different, and you're used to
Yeah.
him. Guys going to the right wherever you play.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
with Hunter being as big as he is, being able to jump, your 3-point shot should be there when you're feeling good and you don't have 4 or 5 layups and dunks.
Yeah.
Then you feeling good, then go out and shoot your three. But
Yeah.
he's going to be the most integral part of our team and our offense because things should start with him. When you give him the ball, everybody cut off a big fella. Because when you cut off a big fella, we know this, Hunter will pass that ball.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, he really developed that last year. A lot.
Yeah.
The three was nice. Just don't fall in love with the three.
Right. Don't fall in love with it.
And I think that's the key. So I mean, I like this team. I say that now without even seeing him play. I'm going to see him play a
Right.
week from Monday, and then I think when they go to London, they play Kentucky and some of the top level competition. That's when you kind of get exposed of are you good or are you really good or whatever. But I got to tell you, I'm answering a question for you. But I mean, as far as what you think about this coaching staff, because you got a lot of stability. You got Juwan Howard. Asadi Washington is back, obviously. Howard Isley, all these guys. And then Phil Martelli, who is by far the greatest storyteller in the history of the world when it comes
Yes, he
to
is.
basketball. I mean, I could stand in front of that dude and just hear him talk. He is
Listen,
amazing. How important it is to have, as a player, that kind of continuity now 3 or 4 years in a row of the same staff?
it's very, very, very important. And these guys now have created a bond and a family atmosphere.
Yeah.
And Papa Bear, which is Juwan is still the head coach.
Yeah.
But Papa Bear is Martelli. Because Papa Bear, there's no one in that arena with more knowledge about what he's doing than this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I tell you, I think that goes a lot towards Juwan's success. Is Martelli and his guys, Isley and all those guys. Listen, if your coaching staff ain't good, then you ain't gonna be good. We know this. The head coach ain't playing no games, and the assistants ain't either. But you guys got to be on the same page, like Fisher was with Coach Frieder, and Boyd was with Coach Frieder and Coach Hammer. These guys, everywhere you go, you see them together, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think coaching dynamics has huge in intercollegiate athletics, probably even more than pro.
Yes,
because kids are more impressionable, and there's more need, I think, for tutelage and things of that nature.
yes.
So
Yes.
I agree with you. I want you to tell our listeners about a unique situation you have with your son.
Okay. Now,
what he's doing in college basketball.
Well, we talked last year. My son was at South Suburban where they won the Junior College National Championship.
Okay.
And
that's in the Chicago area.
It's in Chicago,
Yeah.
in the Chicago area. he wasn't very happy, even though you won a championship. He was not very happy with the coach
Okay.
because the coach was showing the older guys, more attention and more love, as I say.
Right.
So he called me and he said to me, "Dad, I want to transfer." And I said, "Okay, so what do you want to do?" He says, "I want to go play for Uncle Antoine." Uncle Antoine is Antoine Jobert, who played
The
my son, Two
judge.
God, the
Yes.
judge. And so I got off the phone with my son, and immediately I called Antoine because that's my guy, so we got numbers.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And when I tell you, Antoine said, "So when is he coming?" After I said, "Coach, my son wants to transfer to OCC. Can you help him?" He said, "So when he coming?" And that was the love that he had for me and my family because he knew my son. He had met him
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
But not only is he coaching my kid, Justin, but he's also coaching Jimmy King's son. And it is an amazing family atmosphere. And I was telling you earlier, too, that Antoine has season tickets to the Michigan football games. And he takes his kids to every home game. And my son, I know, is having the time of his life. And I tell everyone, this is how college should be. You should enjoy every moment of your college life.
Well,
And so for
absolutely.
that, I'm thankful for my friend, Antoine Jobert.
Yeah. Well, you're only a kid. You're only in college one time. I mean,
That's
and
right.
it's gone. And your responsibilities, not quite obviously when you have to make a living and things like that. It's. I just love that Michigan bond, and I wanted to mention, or I'm glad you mentioned that because we asked or I asked actually Juwan Howard how
Mm.
important some of these Michigan NBA alumni, how much that impacts just the pride of the current players and recruiting when you have guys like Franz Wagner doing so well in the NBA. Obviously, Jordan Poole, NBA champion.
Yes.
I think that's it, and he just said it's invaluable. So, but
Hmm.
speaking, our last topic I want to throw because I know you want to talk about this because we didn't get to it last time because this event happened after our last podcast was a situation with Jordan Poole and Draymond Green. And I know it's
Yes.
been, Draymond punched him and everything. I know there was some smack talk going on, and Jordan does that. I've seen it in practice. I saw it in practice his freshman year at Michigan. He was, he's a confident young man, and
Right.
but to punch from my perspective, then I want yours. Just what I've heard. Uh, an NBA player or any player punching a fellow teammate is a no-no. I don't care how. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but it's frowned upon. What are your thoughts about that whole situation, Rich?
Well, I've talked to several of my NBA friends, and this is the problem that I had. When Jordan said something to you, and we found out what Jordan said, Jordan told him that he was a triple single. Well, that's nothing that you sucker punched him for, because you
Yeah,
didn't punch him straight up. You
yeah,
sucker punched him. And
really, it did. It came out. Yeah,
every one of my NBA friends, and I'm gonna tell you the one I listen to the most. My son, who loves Jordan Poole because he met Jordan and they play Xbox
yeah,
together and all of this.
yeah,
Well, my son used to try to get me to like Draymond Green because my son liked him because he was a tough player.
yeah.
After the incident with Jordan Poole, my son said, "Dad, I have no more love for Draymond Green." I said, "Son, can I tell you something? I ain't never had no love for him." I said, "Because I can see if Jordan Poole was a knucklehead, but he's not. You said I heard Steph Curry say how much
Yeah. Oh,
confidence he
oh, did you
has.
absolutely? Steve Kerr was all about that. Yeah,
Right. And so my thing was I would fight Draymond Green every day until I whooped his behind because you're not going to sucker punch me because you know who it hurt? It didn't hurt Jordan so much. It hurt his parents.
yeah.
It hurt his mom and his dad, especially
Oh
his
yeah.
dad, who's not there to do nothing about it.
Yeah, yeah, because you
And
become protective as a parent, even if your kid's
right,
23 years old making
right.
140 million a year. He's
Doesn't
still your
matter.
kid.
Doesn't
He's
matter.
he's still your kid. Let me ask you before
Mhm.
we go, did you ever have any scrapes in those 4 years at Michigan with a
Yeah,
teammate?
yeah.
How extensive did it go?
That that day, and that was it. I told you, me and Roy Tarpley, we getting ready to play on ESPN. Not an hour before the game, and I'm sitting in my room. Me and Paul Jokic were roommates, and Roy was mad that I had wiped him out on a Miss Pac-Man game. He was upset. And so he comes in my room.
A freaking video game.
Right, of a video game. So he comes in my room. And at this time, now remember, he's not really playing that much either.
Oh, yeah, he didn't play much his freshman year.
His freshman year, right. So
until the end.
He comes in the room, Tom. Paul opens the door and he runs in, 7-foot Roy Tarpley, runs in and jump across Paul's bed and jumps on my bed and fall in between the beds. So now, me weighing 240, of course, I jumped on top of him and never had to swing a punch or anything. And the cool part was it made us closer. I heard somebody say that with Draymond and Jordan. Well, that's a different situation because now I'm a pro. I'm a grown man. Me and Roy were kids. And so it was cool, but it wasn't on video. The video
he was mad at you because you beat him in video game.
Right, that was right. But the fight wasn't on a video. You know what I mean? Nobody recorded the fight.
Oh, I see what you mean. But I mean,
right.
I mean, were you surprised? Was he? Were you guys jawing? Were you trash talking during the video game?
No, not at all. I wasn't trash talking. Well, I guess you could do a little bit of trash talking because I was the best at it. So I talked a whole bunch of trash. But Roy was just being competitive. And remember, I was starting as a freshman. So it had a lot to do with it.
Well, I mean, Roy was I remember his freshman year. He did, when he didn't start playing much until that NIT run.
Yes.
And, backing up McCormick.
Yes. And that's when he became a star in the NIT.
And, all of a sudden you saw this potential, and then sophomore year it rolled instantly. He was a starter all of a sudden.
Right.
But I mean, the first part of his freshman year, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't think he was ever gonna play.
Listen, you guys didn't. We knew he would because
we weren't there. We were players.
Right.
And we're on the outside looking at
his practices were amazing.
Okay.
He was doing things in practice. That's why we didn't understand why he wasn't playing. Because he dunked everything in the paint. Tim shot jump hooks, which were cool. Boy, dunked everything. And so we kept saying, Coach, because I used to always make get Coach upset because I used to say, Coach, Tarp, I come out the game and I'll be like, Coach, what's up?
Yeah.
And he wanted Roy to earn it. He didn't want to just give it to him. And then after Roy earned it, I guess you knew after that it was the rest is history.
Oh man! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! That was great. Okay, Rich.
All right, my man.
So you had your own little versions of that in the Michigan basket, not quite punching each other. So that's
we fake box.
And what a fool, Roy Tarpley taking on Richard Rellford. Are you freaking a guy who played tight end in the Big Ten? I mean, are you nuts?
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't. I mean, come on. I mean, where's your common sense, dude?
Everybody said that to him. Believe me.
All right. Well, after the Kentucky game, after that game ends in a couple of weeks, we're going to break that down next time on the Crawford Podcasting Network for all Rell Good. So a big go blue to you, Rich.
Go blue, baby.
And hopefully Michigan will beat down at Michigan State this week, and we have some good times talking about that as well.
See ya. Appreciate you, Tom.